I want to ask you a question. What if a crisis that you experienced in your life, whether it was a medical crisis, loss of a loved one is sick, whatever that may be, what if it led you to your life's purpose and calling? And that calling led to a nationwide brand endorsed by the United Nations and NASA and used by functional medicine practitioners, longevity clinics, and wellness clinics across the country. What if? Well, this actually did happen. Today, I have with me Catharine Arnston. When Catherine's younger sister was diagnosed with breast cancer, she set out to find the most powerful alkaline, nutrient dense foods that could aid in healing. And what she discovered would actually change her life and the future of wellness and the trajectory of her career. Her journey led her to algae, the world's most potent alkaline, high protein, sustainable superfood. It's been backed by 100,000 scientific studies, the United Nations, and NASA. Catharine is the founder and CEO of Energy Bits. She holds a PhD in natural health and is a board certified health coach and Reiki master. She has spent 15 plus years researching algae's incredible benefits. She's written hundreds of papers. She's given lectures at 30 plus national medical conferences. She's spoken on numerous podcasts, including The Human Upgrade with Dave Asprey and Dear Gabby with Gabby Bernstein. Love Gabby. Catharine, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Carol. Yeah, it's been quite a journey, and I'm very eager to share all of my knowledge with you and your community, particularly with other women and women who are approaching perimenopause and menopause. As you mentioned, I started the company because of my sister having breast cancer, so women's health has always been my number one, and we suffer a lot, and I want to help you not have to do that. Particularly as you get into your 40s and 50s, your body is changing, and it's evolutionary. It's just the way it is, and so you have two choices. I tell people you can either get bitter or you can get better. And I want to help you get better. And it doesn't have to be complicated, expensive, difficult, or even with doesn't have to take you out of your own home. You can take algae tablets at home daily, and you will be amazed at how you will either protect what you have or regain what you lost effortlessly. How sweet is that?
Yes. And I love what you said, that you can either get bitter or better. Because I often say something about menopause, that suffering is optional. Like in
Yes.
this day and time, why are we suffering like this? I understand, my mother's generation, they didn't have access to what we have access now, but really suffering is optional. And there are
Yes.
things we can do for longevity, for quality of life.
Exactly. And along that line, aging is natural, declining is not. And society, particularly for women, seems to have instructed us that we have a expiry date stamped on our forehead. And after 40 and certainly after 50, you might as well just give up and put your jammies and slippers on and just sink into a terrible slide. And I'm here to tell you that's absolutely not true, not necessary. And if nothing else, I'm an example of that. I'll share with you the fact that I turned 70. That's 70 next year. So
No way.
and people ask me, this is my natural skin. I don't take Botox. This is my natural hair. It's long. I don't have extensions. I just got my PhD last year, so my brain is working. I only have millennials working for me, and I travel all over the country. I've been on almost 400 podcasts. So I sleep well, I poop well, and I attribute most of this to the fact that have taken algae tablets every day for 15 years, Spirulina and Chlorella. And I just want other women to feel as great as I do at any age. So we feel great generally when we're in our teens and our 20s. And after that, things seem to just slowly decline, and it doesn't have to be that way.
I just love this. You're speaking my language. I just turned 64, so I'm a little bit behind you.
Good for you.
And I don't often meet women that have really fully embrace this, I guess you could say. Like maybe they want, or they hear about longevity, they hear about aging well, they hear about not going into decline, but to actually see it in action, we don't see that often.
Yeah. Well, and, I'm the founder, sole founder. I've had no outside investors. I bootstrapped my company. It took me 15 years to get all the science right, but I am determined to make a difference in the world, particularly for women's health. And with 100,000 studies documenting the benefits of spirulina and chlorella algae, that's a big number. The problem is all these scientific papers have been researched and written by scientists, and they don't know how to talk to consumers. They like to talk to other scientists. So part of the problem, I think, with algae's benefits is that there's so many of them and there's so much. It's like, where do you begin? And the other thing is 99% of all algae, spirulina and chlorella in particular, is grown in Asia, and 99% of it is consumed there. In Asia, you can't ride your bicycle past on your way to school or drive a car to work without going by an algae farm. We have corn farms and wheat farms, but we don't have algae farms, although I'm certainly planning to build an algae agricultural industry here in Florida where I live now. But that's why you've never heard of it. You don't know what it does. No one's ever explained it to you. Is because you didn't grow up with it. And there was so much science that nobody was able to parse it into smaller, understandable bits, if you want to call them, of information. So that's what I've been able to do, and I'm really excited to share that with you, so that you can embrace aging wherever you are and not worry about it, not panic about it, because let's face it, we're all afraid of getting old, and we're also afraid of all these chronic diseases that seem to be escalating. They're not even decreasing, they're escalating. And it seems that if you're over 50, I think I read some stats that if you're over 40, the average American is on 3 medications and has at least 3 chronic diseases. And once you hit 65, that goes up to 85%. I'm way over 65 and I have no chronic diseases and I take no medications or even supplements. I just take algae every day.
It's really funny because I first heard about the benefits of algae about 20 years ago in my 40s. And I remember going to Whole Foods,
Yeah.
buying some type of supplement back then. It was really the first time I used a supplement, because in my 40s, I was not keyed into any of these things. And I remember just going down to Whole Foods. We had a brand new Whole Foods here in Albuquerque. And I didn't stick with it, but I can't even remember the product I bought. But I did hear about it some
Yeah.
20 odd years ago. And then it kind of just slipped under the radar, I feel like.
Yeah.
And now we're beginning to hear, more
Yes.
about those benefits.
Yes. Well, let me walk you through I'll give you a little bit of a backstory of what algae is, and then we'll break it into the 2 main types, spirulina of microalgae, spirulina and chlorella, what they do differently, and then how to use them particularly to reduce or prevent menopausal symptoms or any kind of chronic diseases as we get older, because this is Mother Nature's gift to us. In fact, algae, spirulina algae in particular, was the first life on Earth 4 billion years ago. So it's been here 4 billion years. Just to put that in context, we've been here 200 million years. So algae predates us by a few billion years and it's still here. So it's obviously doing something right. So to help you understand algae overall, let me give you a little bit of a high level overview. So algae is a food. We call our tablets bits because they're just little bits of food. And we'll walk you through that in a minute, but there's nothing else in our algae tablets, just either spirulina or chlorella. That's it. It's like having a nut. So first of all, they're bits of food. And within food, as a food category, there's 2 subcategories. One is macroalgae and the other one is microalgae. Macroalgae, which we're not going to talk much about, but let me tell you what it is. It's that stringy stuff that you see washing up on shore, also known as seaweed. It's also called dulse or kelp. And actually sea moss falls into this category too, because it's only in the sea. That's why it's called seaweed. And it's really stringy, so it has lots of fiber. but in fact, it has virtually zero nutrition. So, and it has iodine because it comes from the ocean. And that can be a good thing or a bad thing, depending on your thyroid condition. So macroalgae is seaweed, very high in fiber, very high in iodine, only in the sea. Microalgae, which is what we're talking about today, is completely different. First of all, it's called microalgae because it's microscopic in size. You cannot see it with your eye. You could get 1 million microalgae on the head of a pin. That's how tiny it is. And
Wow.
it's everywhere. It's in the oceans, yes, but it's also in the rivers, the lakes, the streams, the soil, your aquarium, probably your swimming pool. And there's tens of thousands of strains of microalgae. The macroalgae, there's only a few. Tens of thousands of microalgae. The two that are most well known are blue-green algae and green algae. Now, within blue-green algae, there's thousands of those strains too. One of them that everybody knows is called spirulina. And of the green algae, the main green algae is chlorella, but there's also thousands of others. And these have high nutrition, either zero fiber or virtually no fiber. Spirulina has no fiber because it's not even a plant. It's a bacteria. So it's completely opposite to macroalgae, which is high fiber, no nutrition. Microalgae like spirulina and chlorella is very high nutrition, virtually no fiber. So the high nutrition is what you want. There's nothing in the world with more concentrated nutrition than spirulina and chlorella algae. We have a quote from the United Nations, who held a global conference on spirulina 50 years ago, and they declared
Wow.
spirulina the answer to world hunger 50 years ago because it has the highest protein in the world. People have no
Wow.
idea spirulina has 3 times the amount of protein as steak, chicken, or fish. There is nothing in the world with more protein than spirulina. Chlorella has a little less. It has 60%. And it's a complete protein, has 18 of the 20 aminos, including the 9 your body can't make. So very, very high protein. And it's also very high in other macro, micronutrients and minerals, 40 vitamins and minerals, all the electrolytes, vitamin A, all the B vitamins, E. It's crazy. Vitamin D. It's unbelievable how many nutrients there are in spirulina and chlorella algae. So it's a food. It's everywhere, but it's also grown as an agricultural crop in Asia, which is, we grow ours in Taiwan. I'm showing you pictures of a spirulina farm and a chlorella farm. It's grown in fresh water. So while there is algae in the ocean, the algae tablets we sell are not from the ocean. In fact, if you go to Whole Foods or Target and you buy algae tablets, pretty sure they're grown in fresh water, not the ocean. And this is really important because there's a lot of toxins in the ocean. So you do not want toxins in your algae. Now, what makes us different is that we grow ours so carefully that we ensure there aren't any toxins in the water. We use triple filtered spring mountain water, and we don't use high heat to dry it because high heat kills enzymes, and all the cheaper algae use high heat because they're lower quality, lower price, so they need to get to market quickly. But with algae, you want to grow it carefully in fresh water, dry it without high heat to preserve all the nutrients, and then press it without binders into these tiny tablets that you can swallow or chew or add to a smoothie because they're just little tiny bits. And in fact, there's so much nutrition in these little tablets. One tablet has the same nutrition as an entire plate of vegetables. And I came up with that calculation because NASA says 1 gram of algae has the same nutrition as 1,000 grams of fruits and vegetables. So I just did the math. These are 250 grams of sized tablets. 1 tablet gives you almost a pound of vegetables. This is the future of fast food. This is for mothers whose kids won't eat vegetables. This is for women whose husbands or boyfriends won't eat vegetables. Or maybe they give you gas. Or maybe you don't want lectins or oxalates. Or maybe you don't have time. Maybe you're not near a grocery store. Spirulina and chlorella algae tablets are your answer. You don't have to eat a vegetable again in your entire life if you are taking these 2 algae tablets. They do different things in your body. But remember, very high protein, and it's all unbound. Animal protein is bound up. Your body can't digest it that way. So it takes days to get into the amino acids. collagen peptides are in clusters, so they're faster absorbed. But algae protein are individual aminos. So the bioavailability is off the charts. It's like 99.9% bioavailable. And because spirulina is a bacteria, there's no cellulose wall for your body to break down. So your hunger is satisfied. That's what spirulina does. It satisfies your hunger. We call ours energy bits because it also gives you energy mentally and physically, because of the high B vitamins that convert the protein into energy, and also because it does things at the cellular level that increase cellular energy, also known as ATP. And so when you have more ATP, you have more energy to think, to move, to digest, to breathe. Everything works better when you have more cellular energy, and you get that from a particular antioxidant in spirulina called, it's a long word, superoxide dismutase, also known as SOD. We'll talk about that later on. But spirulina, highest protein in the world, satisfies your hunger. If anyone's on a GLP-1, please take this. You need at least 10 a day to get your nutritionals covered. Because when you're on a GLP-1, or even if you're just on a regular weight loss, you're not eating, or you're not eating much. And your cells constantly are dividing and growing, and they need nourishment to do that. So spirulina will fill that gap, and will, if you're not on a GLP-1, you just want to have a quick lunch, you could have 30 for lunch, 1 calorie per tablet. You could have lunch for 30 calories, and you won't be hungry for 2 or 3 hours, and get all of your protein, all of your chlorophyll, all of your vitamins and minerals in seconds. I mean, it's almost unbelievable if the science wasn't there.
That's fascinating. I'm really keyed into two things here. The protein, the amino acids. I do have clients. I'm a health coach, a functional medicine health coach. I do have clients on the GLP-1s, and getting the nutrients in is a huge issue because they are not hungry. They have that
Right.
sense of fullness all of the time. And
Yeah.
getting the protein in is a battle because they're not feeling like eating copious amounts of protein, copious amounts of vegetables. And then, when women hit that perimenopausal juncture, we start to have a problem with the gut microbiome. Many of us don't really assimilate or digest vegetables very well.
Yeah.
I have clients, I'm thinking of one in particular right now, that she wants to eat them, but she cannot. It causes a flare up of her condition. And so this gives people an alternative. I know for myself, I can't eat what they recommend for vegetables, what like 6 servings or something.
Who has
I
time
would
for that,
be
right? Yeah.
Oh, and I would be
Yeah.
so bloated. I would be
Yeah.
so uncomfortable. My body just doesn't break it down.
Yeah.
So this is great. Now, I want to dig into what happens to a woman's body in perimenopause and menopause. And I'm thinking one word is coming to mind right now, the inflammation
Yes.
that can start to occur. I don't think people quite understand. They think immediately, of course, the hormones, but when we begin to lose estrogen, of course, we can have more of a problem with blood sugar, more of a problem with inflammation, which in turn, the brain fog.
Yeah.
That was the first thing I noticed in perimenopause, was standing in my sunroom feeling like kind of an out of body feeling, like
Yeah.
I'm here, but I'm not here. And I
Yeah.
don't like this feeling at all.
Yeah.
Can we talk a little bit about the benefits of
Yes.
algae for women in this time of life?
Absolutely. So, so what you're experiencing isn't, it's not in your head. It's a biological shift that's occurring in your body. And here's why it's happening. We have been on Earth for 2 million years. And until 200 years ago, we died at 30. We now live till 60, 70, 80, 90. Some people are even living to 100, but 70 or 80 for sure. But evolutionarily, we've always died at 30. Now, nature or the universe or God, whatever, is so set up for managing resources efficiently. And so, because we are biologically and evolutionarily programmed to die at 30, and there is nothing you can do about it, what your body starts doing is it starts to slow down the production of certain things once you cross that 30 threshold. And certainly by the time you hit 40, and definitely by the time you hit 50. What are some of the things that slow down? Well, estrogen. We all know that that happens. And so, and estrogen, it turns out, is also an antioxidant for your mitochondria. And we're going to get into the mitochondria in a minute. The other thing that slows down is melatonin. This is why you have a hard time sleeping as you get older, because your body just is not creating as much melatonin. Well, there's another nutrient that your body slows down its production of, and you're probably not very familiar with it. It's an antioxidant, and it's that long word I mentioned earlier, superoxide dismutase, also known as SOD. Now, what does you know what melatonin does, and you know what estrogen does, but you may not know what SOD does. So I'm going to tell you. What SOD does is it reduces inflammation in the mitochondria. Now, where is this inflammation coming from? It's coming from free radicals that are being produced as a byproduct of this cellular energy stuff. Now, your mitochondria make your cellular energy. It's called ATP. And what is this cellular energy? Well, it's think of it as the electricity that you have in your buildings. Now, in an office tower, you can't do any work if you don't have any electricity or any lights. And if you have a power shortage because maybe you had a hurricane or something, the lights go out, right? Or maybe just you're working too long and the lights dim. And so what you do is you call maintenance to come and fix them. But basically, without any lights, there's no work. Your body is the same way. These things called mitochondria, which are in all of your cells, they generate the equivalent of electricity for your body, but they are also the lights. Now, so this is why they are so important, but they get damaged as you cross this threshold of age 40 and 50. And as you have more and more damaged mitochondria, they die. And so what this effectively does, it's like turning the lights off in your building, and they're turning more lights off and more lights off and more lights off. And it expresses itself as brain fog. It expresses itself as fatigue, difficulty digesting, difficulty having energy to do anything. Nothing works well when your body doesn't have enough cellular energy. And it doesn't have enough cellular energy because after the age of 40, your mitochondria are dying. Now, why are they dying? Well, it's because this stuff called SOD, superoxide dismutase, normally protects the mitochondria from free radicals that are produced as a byproduct of this stuff called cellular energy. I tell people, think of SOD like a big golf umbrella. Now, I don't golf, but you've all seen those big golf umbrellas. And whether you're golfing or shopping, you get caught in a rainstorm, you pop one of those big golf umbrellas up. You haven't stopped the rain, but you stopped getting wet. This stuff called superoxide does not stop the free radicals that are a byproduct of the ATP cellular energy. But what it does is it converts them into water and oxygen so they don't damage the mitochondria, because your mitochondria have their own DNA. And the DNA is located exactly where this ATP is produced. It's inside the inner membrane of the mitochondria. So the right ring side where all the free radicals are. Now, normally you would say, well, I eat a lot of blueberries. I eat a lot of vitamin C. Those are antioxidants. Why can't those stop the free radicals? Well, here's the reason. Your mitochondria are the only cell in your entire body that have an inner membrane. All of your other cells have it's called a lipid membrane, which is a fancy word for saying fat. And your mitochondria have a lipid membrane too, but they also have a second inner membrane inside. No other cell has this. All of your mitochondria do. And I'll tell you in a minute where that came from. It's like an ICE unit. Nothing can get in there. No antioxidants from blueberries, vitamin C, vitamin E, nothing. And there's been scientific studies checking on the viability of vitamin C and vitamin E, which are antioxidants, to extend longevity. And they always come up empty-handed. They say, nope, had no effect on longevity, had no effect on the mitochondria. And the reason why is they can't get into that inner membrane. There are only a handful of antioxidants that can get in there. And guess what? They're all in algae. One of them is chlorophyll, one of them is glutathione, and the other one is this thing called superoxide dismutase. Now, when I talked about free radicals, we know, maybe you don't know, I'll explain what a free radical is. It's a molecule with an unpaired electron, and nature strives for balance. And so when you have a molecule with an unpaired electron, it will try to balance itself out by stealing an electron from another molecule, which then leaves it unbalanced and causes tissue damage. And so it steals from somebody else, which then leaves it unbalanced, and it steals, and so you can see how it goes on. But there's these things called antioxidants that have extra electrons. They're like the kid who came to school with extra lunches for all their friends. And they donate the electron to the free radical to neutralize it and calm it down. But because most of these antioxidants can't get into the mitochondria, and because the most damaging free radical is only found in the mitochondria, and it's called superoxide, and it's damaging because it has 3 unpaired electrons. So the thing that neutralizes it is this antioxidant called superoxide dismutase. Dismutase means to dim. It's like dimming a light. So the dismutase decreases and reduces the free radical into harmless water and oxygen. It's like having that golf umbrella. So it's protected. So you don't stop the free radicals, but you stop them from getting to the mitochondria. And this happens for you naturally from the moment you're born until the age of 20 and maybe 30. And after that, your body slows down the production of the superoxide dismutase until 40 and shortly thereafter, and you have none. So that big golf umbrella went from being a golf umbrella to a little city totes umbrella to being like a little cocktail umbrella and provides no protection. This is why after 40 and 50, you start to see chronic disease kicking in, brain fog, weight gain, metabolic issues. It's because your mitochondria, which generate all the electricity for your body, have decreased in their number. And in the old days, they used to use candles for electricity. You couldn't very well write a long book with a candle. So it's like having your electricity reduced to a few lights, to a few candles, to a matchstick, and then nothing. And that when you hit that nothing, that's when inflammation is exploding because there's too much inflammation. There's too many free radicals. And women get hit twice as hard as men because we lose estrogen at exactly the same time. And estrogen acts as an antioxidant as well. And so now we get double hit. So, and particularly with brain fog, you may not know this, but your brain has the most mitochondria. 2 million mitochondria per cell. So when I talk about the lights going out, the first place they go out is your brain. This is why women suffer more than men from depression, brain fog, Alzheimer's, dementia. It's because we have less protection after the age of 40. But the good news is spirulina has the highest concentration of that antioxidant called superoxide dismutase. It literally gives you back your golf umbrella. It gives you back all of your electricity because it will go back in there. It's absorbed instantly because it's a bacteria, so it gets absorbed within seconds if you chew it and minutes if you swallow it. And immediately it goes right into the mitochondria, turns that little cocktail umbrella back into a totes umbrella, and then eventually, within a few days or even momentarily, into that golf umbrella. So now your mitochondria are protected again. They can start regenerating again. They can start functioning again. They can start giving you that ATP. We turn your lights back on. We literally turn your lights back on. How cool is that? And it's from food. And it doesn't take any effort. You can be in your jammies in the morning taking a handful. You can take them at lunch, at work. It doesn't matter where you are. And we have a discount code. If you take 10 a day is the minimum, 30 is better. We say you take 10 for nourishment, 20 for what do we call it? To escalate your health, and 30 to optimize your health or to correct any health condition. And they're so tiny. Remember, they're little bits of nutrition. They're about the size of a baby aspirin, but it's green. So now it's affordable. 10, we have a discount code for you. 10 a day would cost you, if you bought the large bag with 30,000 tablets, $1 a day to turn your lights back on, to help you start functioning better, not have hunger, to have the energy to live, because let's face it, it takes energy to live. And I know of one example, just one person, but I eat real food, but I rely on these things. They don't interfere with your fast because they don't break a fast. There's no oxalates or lectins, so they're great for carnivores. They're great for any kind of vegan or vegetarian person. They're great for kids, pets. There is no drug interactions. There is nothing wrong. I can't find, in 15 years, I haven't found a single thing that I can say bad about algae, other than maybe it doesn't taste great.
It's funny because my husband and I have been taking, because I received a sample, from your office, from you. And my husband's like, well, they're bits, they're food. I'm going to bite into. He's like, oh dear, I think I'll swallow. It
Yeah,
didn't
yeah,
quite taste the way I wanted
yeah.
it to.
But
But you hit on something so interesting, because often I'll have guests on, and we will always come back to that inflammation as being the root cause of
yes,
so many, really every disease. But you're taking it a step further, saying, okay, what's causing the inflammation, and going into the mitochondria. And I think that's that important distinction to make is, what is happening first. It's the same with autoimmune. It's like people say, we don't know what caused it. Or if you look up research on it, there's no cause, there's no cure. But let's peel back the layers of the onion, and okay, inflammation, what causes the inflammation, and getting to that root cause of the lack of energy, because everything we do, our brains in particular, relying on that energy. And I can imagine if you're getting enough energy, it's taking care of some of those cravings. Am I correct in assuming that?
Absolutely. Well, also, there's so many nutrients. A lot of cravings are because your body is missing nutrition. It's seeking it out. And the food companies know this. They have engineered snack food and processed food using the same techniques that the cigarette companies use. They know how to hook you in. They want your taste buds to keep wanting more, but there's no nutrition in it. So your body keeps wanting to eat more because it's not getting nourished. As soon as your body gets nourished, the cravings go away because it's received what it needed. But there's no nourishment in our food anymore. Our soils are so overcropped that even if you are eating vegetables, the broccoli or tomatoes of today have like a tenth of the nutrition from 50 years ago. And if you're eating processed foods, well, you might as well just forget it, because the food is devoid of nutrition, and it's containing glyphosate and pesticides and seed oils. So first of all, we're not getting nourished, so nothing is working properly. We know how we have to charge our phone every day, or it doesn't work. We have to put gas or electricity into our car, or it doesn't work. The problem is people just don't know how their body works. So they're not aware that it doesn't have to be complicated, but you need to understand how it works, and then what it needs, and give it what it needs, and stop giving it what it doesn't. And what it doesn't want are toxins. And that's what Chlorella does. It pulls out toxins. I'll get to that in a minute. But because toxins, in the old days, because I'm a baby boomer, we used to have radios in our cars, right? And when you were in between stations in your car, or you just weren't near a radio tower, you couldn't hear anything. All you heard was static, and it sounded like this, right? That's what toxins do in your body. Your cells are having a hard time talking to one another because there's so much static from all the toxins are sitting in what's called cell receptor cells. And so even if you are giving your body nourishment, if they can't get into the cells because the toxins are taking the parking spot, that was supposed to be open for the nutrition to get in, it can't get in. But if you want to learn a little bit more on the science about this inflammation, because the cause of disease is inflammation, the cause of the inflammation are excess free radicals that the body and the cell and the mitochondria haven't been able to keep up with cleaning. And the reason why there's free radicals, so many free radicals, is due to the way that the energy is actually created, the stuff called ATP. And it's created through something called the electron transport chain. Now, I know this is kind of geeky, but stay with me because I'm going to make it really easy for you. You've all probably seen a relay race where you have a runner and they pass a baton to the next runner, and then they run a distance and pass the baton to the next runner, and then hopefully they cross the finish line first and they win. Well, the way that your ATP energy is created is very similar, except instead of having runners, you have these molecules. They're actual proteins. And instead of passing a baton, they pass electrons. So the idea is there's 4 of them. You get the electrons from the food that you eat that gets broken down, and then it gets into this thing called the electron transport chain. And the faster you can move those electrons across between the runners, the faster they'll cross the finish line and create this stuff called ATP. Okay? So in a healthy cell, those runners, right, are close together. So just like if you're in a race, they can pass the baton really easily because when you get close to the next runner, it's an easy pass. So a healthy mitochondria, all those runners are really close to one another. They can pass the baton, the electrons, and the bottom line is you get energy. But what happens when you eat too many carbs, you're too stressed, you have too many toxins, you don't have enough superoxide dismutase, the mitochondria starts to get damaged, and because there's free radicals. And as it gets damaged, it expands. Here's a picture of an expanded mitochondria. Look what happens. The runners are now farther apart from one another. So just like if you're in a race and you can't get close to the next runner, you can't make the pass. And you might even drop the baton. That's exactly what happens in the electron transport chain. When the mitochondria are damaged and they get expanded, they get fatter, and eventually they explode, they can't make the pass of the electrons. So 2 things happen. You can't make the pass, so you can't generate ATP. You haven't been able to cross the finish line. The second thing that happens is those electrons don't disappear. They leak out into the mitochondria and become free radicals, which then makes the mitochondria expand even more until it expands so much that it explodes. And that's called necrosis. And what happens, that escalates inflammation to the neighboring mitochondria, to the neighboring cells. And so the cycle just repeats itself. So the key is because you have far too many free radicals not escaping from that electron transport chain. So as your energy decreases, your inflammation increases. Not a good combination. If you want a funny analogy, there's a great video you can see on YouTube of Lucille Ball, another throwback to my baby boomer days. And this great video, she's in a chocolate factory, and her job is to put the chocolates in the chocolate boxes. But she can't keep up with the conveyor belt that keeps speeding up. And so she starts throwing the chocolates in her mouth, over her shoulder. She just can't keep up. And so when your mitochondria get damaged, that electron transport chain, those runners, they just can't keep up. And so more and more free radicals keep escaping, causing the mitochondria to expand, so it explodes, and then you have more free radicals and more damage and more inflammation. You see what happens? That's why this stuff called superoxide dismutase is like your knight in shining armor, because it reduces all of that inflammation. It reduces all of those free radicals. It turns them into harmless water and oxygen that your runners need anyways, to keep them working. But the trick is, nobody knows that you can find this superoxide dismutase in algae. Mostly in spirulina, a lesser degree in chlorella. There's 25,000 studies documenting how superoxide dismutase prevents Alzheimer's, dementia, heart disease, cancer, everything. But nobody knows you can find it in spirulina. But there's a catch. It's also an enzyme, and so it cannot be exposed to high heat. And all the lower quality algae that are lower priced, they cut corners to get to market quickly, and they use high heat, which deactivates this enzyme. So it's like getting a great deal on a fantastic car, except you lift the hood and there's no engine. Looks great,
Yes.
doesn't perform. We've never used high heat to dry our algae, so ours works beautifully. All your superoxide dismutase and all your other enzymes are ready, waiting to go to work for you. You could also get fresh or frozen spirulina, which, because of course, it has not been exposed to high heat either. That's why places like Hippocrates Institute and the Gershon Institute, which are very well-respected healing centers, the Hippocrates Institute is in West Palm Beach, Florida. They've been around for 50 years. And they take very sick patients with stage 3, stage 4 cancer. And I think they have like a 95% success rate healing people. And one of the first things they do is give them fresh spirulina. They also put them in red light and sauna and give them a diet based on plants. And it's all natural. It's all natural. But you can get the same benefits from that fresh spirulina when you take our algae tablets, because they are raw, just like the fresh spirulina. So it's your knight in shining armor. It's a way to get back what you lost and protect what you have currently. It's never too early to start, because this inflammation is called the silent killer, because it will be going on for 10 years before even any symptoms show up. So if you're 30, you really need to start protecting what you have now. If you're 40, we need to get you back on track, and we can. And any age past 40 and 50 in menopause, post-menopause, you do not have to suffer. We want to help you get you better. There's no fun in being bitter, is there?
I remember being in my 40s, going through perimenopause, and the feeling was like the wheels were coming off of the bus. Like, oh my goodness, what is happening? So I see what you're saying. Start sooner, start before all of this happens. Now, what about those of us who, oh boy, it's maybe we're 60 or we're 70, and we're just now learning these things. We're just now understanding what our body needs. Is it too late? Is there a certain amount of damage that like it's too late? Are we just preventing further damage? Where are we at with all of this?
It's never too late. I say it's never too late to feel great. And it's your body will constantly be regenerating itself. Always. Your skin is the obvious one. Now it slows down as you get older. Your skin turnover is slower. It may take 60 days, and when you're 20, it's maybe only 24 days. But absolutely, every cell, every part of your body, your bones, your organs, your brain, absolutely everything can be regenerated. Now, spirulina and chlorella, and we'll talk about chlorella next because it pulls out the toxins because they work together. I would put every single person, if I could, in the world on spirulina, absolutely slam dunk, no question. Not just for the superoxide dismutase, but also for the protein, the 40 vitamins and minerals, all the micronutrients. And Mother Nature has done all this for us. I can't claim for the algae, but I can claim the fact that we grow it so carefully, we preserve everything. But when you eat food, like especially spirulina or chlorella, it's like listening to an orchestra, because you have all the nutrients. Think of the nutrients as different instruments, and all the harmonies are like your coenzymes and enzymes and factors and cofactors. So when the instruments and the conductor and the orchestra get together, they harmonize in ways that it's impossible to get when you have just a bunch of soloists. We all have soloists in our kitchen right now. We have fish oil, we have collagen, we have a multivitamin, we have a CoQ10, and some should be taken with fat, some should be taken with water, some should be taken with food, some should be taken without food. You don't have to worry about any of that with algae, because it's all created for you to work beautifully without any worries. And by the way, your countertop is probably cluttered. All the expiry dates are different. Our algae tablets last 3 years, by the way. You can eliminate a whole bunch of those supplements, and you will start feeling better almost instantly. With spirulina, you'll start feeling more focus and energy within half an hour. You won't feel like you're going to jump off a tall building in a single bound, because it's quiet energy, because it's cellular energy. It's not a stimulant. A stimulant is like putting paper on a fire. You get a burst and then a crash. Algae is like putting a log on the fire. So if you're 60, 70, 80, you can start nourishing your body to get it back on track. Now, it's not going to happen overnight, because organs take longer to generate than your general cells or your skin, but it will work. And there are other things that you probably need to also do. But the great news is all the things that really work are free. And algae is almost free at $1 for 10 tablets. And what are those other things? Sleep is my number 2. Algae, number 1. Sleep is number 2. Why is sleep so important? When you are sleeping, your body is repairing and recovering and detoxing. And so women, ladies, never apologize for getting more sleep. We put ourselves last on the list, and we should be first on the list. Remember, put your oxygen mask on first before you help anybody else. And because if you can't get into a deep sleep, your body can't go through that repair rebuild cycle. Algae will give you the building blocks for the repair, but you need the construction team to go to work, and they go to work when you're sleeping. How cool is that? You're getting your beauty rest, and the construction team is in there pulling out the old blocks that have started to fall apart and putting in new ones. But you have to have the nourishment from the spirulina, and you have to get your sleep. So sleep is my number 2. Actually, number 3, it's a tie between movement and sun. Movement, we all know we need to move, because you need to move your lymphatic system, by the way, which does not have a heart to pump it around. Movement is what makes your lymphatic system work properly. And your lymphatic system is your drainage system for your toxins. And so when you're moving all the toxins around, and it also keeps your joints moving, because when you stop moving, things solidify. It just gets harder. Your fascia, which are the structure between your bones and your skin and your muscles, they also get dehydrated, and they don't move as well. So when you're moving, and here's the great thing, why don't you move outside? Go for a walk, because the small amount of sunlight, particularly in the early hours and the evening, are the best times to get light into your eyes, to set your circadian rhythm, which, by the way, will help you sleep. So you can see how it all fits together, right? You don't have to have expensive equipment, but you do need to do a few of the basics, which is take algae, get yourself some sleep, go for walks, preferably in the morning before 9 o'clock, before the sun gets too strong, especially if you're living in the southern area, and water, particularly if you can get what's called structured water that helps nourish your cells. We're like 80% water. So you need water at the mitochondria level. And remember, one of the byproducts of protecting the free radical, stopping the free radical damage when you have this stuff in the algae called superoxide dismutase, what does it turn all those free radicals into? Water and oxygen. What does the body need? Water and oxygen. See how it all works together? We are perfectly formed, and algae is perfectly created to create a closed loop environment for our bodies, for our mitochondria, for our health. And part of the reason I want you to get the light and the water and the movement and the sleep is because we're so exposed to EMFs, and EMFs are very damaging for our blood, for our mitochondria, and it's hard to escape them these days. So we want to protect ourselves by doing all these other proactive activities, most of which are free.
Yes, and simple steps. But I tell you, I find, and I find this with a lot of women, is they're signing up for detoxes. They're going on 900-calorie diets. They're looking for the next diet, the next thing, the next exercise program. And none of that is important. What's important are these basic habits. Like, how are you managing your stress? Are you getting outside? Are you moving? Are you hydrating, sleeping? But sleep doesn't sell, from a marketing
Yeah.
perspective. So people dig into these detoxes and dig into these diets, especially, we're coming up on January 1st. We're going to see it all again and go
Yeah.
through that whole cycle. But in reality, it's the string of simple lifestyle habits that if you can
Yes.
nail them, it makes a huge difference. I know for me, I started really prioritizing my sleep a few years ago, and I guard it. Like I'll have my family over for dinner, our grown kids, and I'm kicking them out of the house at a certain point. And
Yeah.
I'm just straight up with them, like I've got to wind down. I've got to
Yeah.
start my bedtime routine.
Yes,
So
yes, and having a
night's
routine is
over.
really, really important. I will say, in terms of devices, the one thing I'm very pro about is red light therapy, because red light therapy
Yes.
also helps reduce inflammation at the mitochondria level. But you get that also. It's best red light is at sunrise. So if you can get out the door and go for that walk in the early morning, you're getting the red light and you're setting your circadian rhythm. But if you can't get to the outdoors, you can buy these red light devices that sit on your head, or the panels or whatever. So they're really helpful, because they also speed up the movement generation of ATP, but they reduce the inflammation. Yeah, and when you take the algae, anytime you're doing any of these hacks, red light, cryotherapy, sauna, cold plunges, always take some spirulina before. Again, we generally recommend 10 or 15, because it will deepen and extend and improve the results of the biohack that you're doing. And then take the chlorella afterwards. We haven't talked much about chlorella. We call ours recovery bits, because it helps you recover. It pulls out toxins, heavy metals, lead, mercury, radiation, aluminum, alcohol, lactic acid. So people use it as a post-workout, and the spirulina as a pre-workout. But you need two things. You need to put nourishment in, which is spirulina. We call ours energy bits. And you need to pull the toxins out. And that's what the chlorella does. So, and because you do that detox repair when you're sleeping, we generally recommend the chlorella before bed. You can take it any time of day, but definitely before bed. So spirulina in the morning and the afternoon and pre-workout, chlorella after a meal, after a workout, and definitely, or after drinking alcohol, and definitely before bed. So you have your AM algae, PM algae, and because your brain has so much mitochondria, the spirulina helps with your mitochondria. So we call spirulina brain food. And the chlorella, because it helps heal your gut, it has fiber, it pulls out toxins, stimulates bowel movements. Yes, that's something that people don't like to talk about, but it's a way of elimination. Chlorella stimulates that. So it's very much a gut health algae. So spirulina, brain health, chlorella is gut health. So you can see that the two of them do completely different things in your body. And they're safe for every age group, at any time. Pets, children, grandparents, please, please, please start taking it, because we are in a health crisis, a nutritional crisis, an environmental crisis. And if you've seen as much science as I have about algae, you'll see that it's literally the answer for everything, and it's effortless.
Now you make 3 different kinds, right, of the energy bits?
Well, the
Can
company is
you
called Energy Bits, but we basically only sell two types of algae. One is
Oh, 2 types, okay.
spirulina, and it's a blue-green algae. So I designed all the packaging. I put it in a blue bag, so it's a blue-green algae, and we
Okay.
call it Energy Bits because it gives you energy. Now, I found that women did not, when I first started the company 15 years ago, didn't like the packaging of the blue one, because it builds your skin and your hair. Like, I don't do Botox, I don't have extensions. It's unbelievable what it does to your skin. And because I wanted women to feel happy, and when they took their spirulina, I made a second brand of spirulina and called it Beauty Bits. I'm not trying to trick anybody. It just makes me happy. Women love this packaging. It's got a rose on it. But and I call my brands, we have 4 brands. I'll tell you the other one in a minute. I call them my children. And these are my twins. So spirulina, the energy bits and beauty bits are exactly the same. They're just packaged
Okay.
differently. Absolutely
Okay.
the same. Okay. Then the other one, the detox one, that's good for your gut health. It's a green algae. So I package it in a green bag, and I put a plant on there, so you would know that it does have fiber in it. that feeds the gut biome, and it helps you recover from anything: sports, drinking, health, detox. So we call it recovery bits. So this is really your PM algae, and it's really,
Okay.
yeah, really,
It's
really good. It also has the highest tryptophan in the world, which is a precursor to melatonin.
oh
So
yes.
it helps you sleep. So this helps you sleep, helps you poop, helps you get rid of all those toxins. It's incredible what this stuff does. Honestly, it's just off the charts. So that's chlorella. So we have 2 spirulina, 1 chlorella, and then we have another brand called Vitality Bits, and it's a blended
Okay.
tablet. And we find, generally, I encourage people to buy the spirulina and the chlorella separately, because you may find you like one better than the other. They do different things. If you want energy, that's just spirulina. If you want detox, that's just chlorella. But after you've tried them for a while and you like them both, if you just want to simplify your life, this is your answer, Vitality Bits, because you could take this, 10 in the morning, 10 at night, or if you're in a therapeutic and you want to really accelerate your wellness journey, then it would be 30 in the morning, 30 at night. Now, remember, this is so packed with protein, 40 vitamins and minerals, the highest chlorophyll in the world. It will replace at least 5 or 6 of your other supplements. So you'll save money, you'll save time, you won't have to buy vegetables, you won't have to buy as much protein. It's really unbelievable what it does. It lasts 3 years. Actually, it never goes
Wow.
bad. So, yeah, it's very efficient nutrition. Efficient nutrition. I did the math and I found out that one bag, it doesn't matter what you buy, spirulina, chlorella, of 1,000 tablets. I used that quote from NASA: 1 gram of algae has the same nutrition as 1,000 grams of fruits and vegetables. So one bag has the same nutrition as 551 pounds of vegetables. To give you another visual, that's about 30 grocery carts of food in this one bag. That's 30 grocery carts of stuff you didn't have to shop for, put in the car, drive home, unpack, stuff in your fridge, try to cook, throw out when nobody ate it. Right here. 30 grocery carts of food in one bag, nutritionally.
I'm all about ease and simplicity because I know at one point I was getting supplement fatigue. That's what I call it,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
where it was just like sticking in my throat. And I'm like, I cannot swallow another one of these capsules. I've had it. And some of them required you like big horse
Oh, I
capsules,
know.
take 5 of these or 10 of these. And I think a lot of people have gotten a bit fatigued. They've got a big bill from the supplements, especially it's on a subscription, it's recurring. So having that simplicity is so, so important. I know a lot of women will appreciate that plus the benefits.
Yeah.
Now, Catherine, as I want to be respectful of your
Yes.
time as we
Yeah.
start to wrap up, this has been really informative. Was there something I didn't ask or some bit of advice you would like to give the listeners?
Well, I just want to let people know that algae isn't new. It's just new to you. And remember, you didn't know about chia or matcha or kiwa or bone broth or collagen powder until about 10 or 15 years ago, when a company introduced it to you, even though these things have been used in other countries for centuries. Same with algae. It's been used safely daily in Asia for 60, 70 years. The Aztecs in Mexico, it was their main food supply 250 years ago. The Egyptians wrapped themselves up in it 2,000 years ago. So it's been around. It's just that you've never had a safe, pure source. We do third-party lab tests. We sell only through doctors' offices or through our website, energybits.com. So it's the purest, safest food you'll ever put in your body. I can't speak for other algae companies, but I can speak for us. So give it a try, or just come to our website, Energy Bits, and learn about it, because it will change your life. I will put my life on it. But I will say, caveat, it's not algae that's doing all this great stuff for you. It's the nutrients found in algae. And it's the nutrients that have been proven in science to do all these amazing things. And so, A, you didn't know about algae, and B, you didn't know about you. You didn't know what you needed. You didn't know how things worked. And this is why when you don't know, I have found personally, when I don't know how something works, I'm afraid. It scares me. And so what you just need to do is take a deep breath and slowly unpack what's going on in your body. Don't run and get that pharmacy drug subscription. Try to find out what the core, what, go upstream. What is causing the symptom? The symptom can disappear from the medication, but it doesn't stop the disease, doesn't stop the problem. A symptom is your body telling you something's not quite right. If you have wood floorboards in your house and it's squeaking, maybe there's a hole there and it needs to be glued. So when you have a pain or some symptom, don't be afraid of it. Be curious. Explore it. What is this trying to tell me? What can I learn? What can I change? And do it in baby steps, teeny little baby steps, and reward yourself with healthy activities. A little extra sleep, a little longer run or walk, a little more hugging. These things are all good for you, and it's all proven in science, and so is algae. So I actually wrote a little book called The Algae Love Story. I call it a
Oh, how
booklet.
cute. I love
It's
it.
like an adult's a children's book for adults, because we all need love, right? And
Mhm.
I found out we all need algae too, because algae does what love does. Love is passionate, so is algae. Love is for everyone, so is algae. Love is sustainable, so is algae. Love is nourishing, so is algae. Love gives you life, so is algae. I won't go through it all, but anyways, algae will love you back to health. I absolutely promise you that. And I started this to help my sister get her life back on track. And it certainly helped her. It wasn't the only thing she did. I don't want to take credit for that, but I'm committed to help people understand what this is. This is Mother Nature's love for us. She just needed someone to give you a safe source and to explain what it does. So I would help you if I'm here to help you, so you can get better, not bitter. And algae is the way to do it, and it makes it effortless, safe, and pure. So, so thank you for letting me share, Carol, with your community. And I hope they'll come and visit us at Energy Bits. We do have that 20% discount code, Carol Cavino. And just put that
Wonderful.
in any of the coupon box on mobile or desktop, and it works on every product all the time. We have bags and canisters and single pouches. So, just come and visit us. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Catherine. I've learned a lot. It's one of the things I love about podcasting is what I learn, who I meet. It's just wonderful to connect. So thank you so much. And are you on Instagram or anything
Yes,
like
yes.
that?
Energy
Okay.
Bits is the main handle. We do have a separate Instagram handle for Beauty Bits, because she's very girly, so it's very, very playful and flirty. So check out Instagram Energy Bits or Beauty Bits. And I now have my own handle, Catharine Arnston, because I also have my own website, Catharine Arnston, because I want to speak more to people, and it's just about me and stuff like that. So you can check that out too.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. I urge, if you've just listened to this, go to my YouTube channel where I'll have the video up and you can see how wonderful Catherine looks, her hair, her skin. Honestly, I'm not just saying that, very, very natural, very beautiful. So definitely go watch the video. And thank you again, Catherine. It's
Well,
been fun.
it's been fun. Thank you
And
so much, Carol.
and to our listeners, wherever you are in the world, we wish you every blessing. Bye for now.